Hey everybody, Trey here. Welcome back to another video. There's been a lot of hubbub within the storm chasing community over the past several days regarding the new bill that has entered the Oklahoma legislature looking to regulate storm chasing within the state of Oklahoma. There's been a lot of confusion about what this bill entails, how it will impact storm chasers in Oklahoma, and whether or not it actually bans storm chasing within state lines. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to go through the bill in its entirety, line by line, to try to simplify what the bill entails, who it impacts, and how it will impact storm chasers if it passes in the state of Oklahoma. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I have the bill in its entirety here, all 9 pages of it. We're going to go through it page by page. We'll skip some of the minutia of the bill and focus on the more important parts to try to come up with a little bit of a simplification and try to clean up some of the confusion that's out there on this bill. So this is House Bill 2426 within the state of Oklahoma legislature, also known as the Oklahoma Emergency Weather Response and Tracking Regulatory Act of 2025. And this first section here, or section 2, I should say, basically outlines the major terms that are going to be used throughout this bill frequently. And really the crux of this bill is to be able to provide a license for certain entities to have some extra permissions on severe weather days. And so these entities, they're calling them professional severe weather trackers, which means a licensed individual or company hired or contracted via a qualified media outlet or affiliated with the research program at a qualified institution for higher education. And then they go on to define what these two things mean. So qualified institution for higher education shall mean any college or university regulated by the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education who offer a course or program in meteorology. For all intents and purposes, that's going to just be your big colleges. And really, the one that comes to mind in Oklahoma is going to be the University of Oklahoma. Of course, they have their extensive fieldwork program in meteorology. Oklahoma State University doesn't do as much in that realm. I'm not even sure if they have a full meteorology program off the top of my head, but when you think of qualified institution for higher education that does a lot of this fieldwork stuff that would be a target of this bill, you think first of the University of Oklahoma. So that is one. That's the qualified institutions for higher education. And then they outline the qualified media outlet to be a television station licensed by the FCC for the broadcast or transmission of television programming via broadcast, cable, streaming, or other platforms as recognized by the Federal Communications Commission. So in simple terms, basically any local TV station here in Oklahoma. Local TV stations all have their own storm chasers who go out and provide live footage and live coverage during these severe weather events. They are going to fall under this qualified media outlet category for this bill. They also define what kinds of days this refers to as far as significant severe weather events. So they define a significant severe weather event as a day of slight, enhanced, moderate, or high risk in one or more counties located in Oklahoma by the Storm Prediction Center. So this covers any day where a slight risk or higher, level 2 out of 5 or higher, is issued for any part of the state of Oklahoma by the Storm Prediction Center. So this does not include general thunderstorm days or marginal risk days, which are level 1 out of 5. It's slight risk, level 2 out of 5 or higher. It also includes any day where there is a tornado or severe thunderstorm watch issued by the National Weather Service or the chief meteorologist employed by a qualified media outlet. So any day that there is a tornado or severe thunderstorm watch in any part of Oklahoma issued by the National Weather Service or a local TV station meteorologist. Some of the local TV meteorologists here in Oklahoma like to issue their own independent tornado and severe thunderstorm watches. We can talk about the legitimacy of those at another time, but just for the purposes of this bill, it covers any day where there's a tornado or severe thunderstorm watch issued by the NWS or one of these TV meteorologists. Also, any day where there is a tornado or severe thunderstorm warning in one or more counties located in the state of Oklahoma issued by the NWS or one of these TV meteorologists. So anytime there is any type of tornado or severe thunderstorm warning in Oklahoma, it falls under this bill. Or any time that you have a tornado or a severe thunderstorm warned storms that are anticipated to enter Oklahoma as a high-end dangerous storm from neighboring states within a given time period. So, for example, if you have a big severe thunderstorm complex moving in from the Texas Panhandle, moving east into Oklahoma, that would count under this bill as well. So any type of tornado warned storm or severe thunderstorm warned storm that either starts in Oklahoma and becomes severe in Oklahoma, or is severe and moves into the state from a neighboring state. Looks like this also covers winter weather as well. It says here for blizzard warnings, ice storm warnings, winter weather advisory, winter storm warning, or winter storm watch as declared by the NWS or a TV meteorologist. So winter weather is covered, as is fire weather. Any day that there's a red flag warning as well as flash flood or flood warnings issued by the NWS or TV meteorologist. So really, for all intents and purposes, it is any type of severe weather day in Oklahoma. Yes, it doesn't really include marginal or general thunderstorm days, but a lot of times on these marginal days, you might even still have severe thunderstorm warnings issued within the state. Those would count under this day. So in simple terms, let's just think of it as all severe severe weather days in the state of Oklahoma, in any part of the state of Oklahoma. These next few parts kind of go to defining how these licenses are supposed to be utilized by these agencies. So let's skip ahead, and we'll come back to this in just a bit. I want to skip ahead to the crux of this bill, which is in Section 5. So Section 5 here says that a new section of law to be codified reads as follows. Primary vehicles utilized by professional severe weather trackers. So once again, professional severe weather trackers encompass all of those folks with media outlets, qualified media outlet storm chasers, as well as qualified research folks from higher education entities. All of their vehicles must, number one, display markings clearly identifying such vehicle as being utilized for severe weather tracking and identify the qualified media outlet or institution for higher education with which the tracker is affiliated. So they have to clearly display who they're working for, basically. Number two, be authorized to be equipped and use the audible and visual signals provided for in subsection A of section 12-218 of Title 47 of the Oklahoma statutes. And if we go to that statute there, section 12-218, that is going to be for a combination of flashing red and blue lights. So basically these vehicles that are used by these media chasers, these licensed media chasers and licensed research folks, can use the flashing red and blue lights that, say, a police car or an ambulance uses. So they can do those things. They can act really as an emergency vehicle. Once the conditions of a significant severe weather event have been met, a professional severe weather tracker shall be authorized to, number one, activate the audible and visual signals for authorized for use in paragraph 2 of subsection A of this section. So they can use their red and blue lights, emergency lights. They can be considered an emergency vehicle for the purposes of subsections B, C, and E of section 11-106 of Title 47 of the Oklahoma statutes. So if we go to that statute there, they can follow B, C, and D. So this is regarding to authorized. This is in regards to authorized emergency vehicles. So these media chasers and these research folks can, because they are considered emergency vehicles in this situation, they may park or stand irrespective of the provisions of this chapter. So they can, I'm not sure what the provisions of this chapter exactly are, reading back in this statute, but they can really park anywhere they'd like. So that could be construed as they can create a roadblock. Number two, proceed past a red or stop signal or stop sign, but only after slowing down as may be necessary for safe operation. Exceed the maximum speed limits so long as speeding does not endanger life or property. Disregard regulations governing direction of movement, and disregard regulations governing turning in specified directions. The exemptions herein granted to the driver of an authorized emergency vehicle shall apply only when the driver is properly and lawfully making use of an audible signal. So they can do all of these things, basically, that a police officer or an ambulance can do. They can, park anywhere. They can proceed past red lights or stop signs, but only after slowing down. They can speed so long as it doesn't endanger life or property, and they can disregard traffic laws as far as direction of movement and turning in specified directions go. So they can basically act as a full emergency vehicle in this situation. So that means also they can travel upon roads, highways, and country roads that are closed by the Department of Transportation, Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, any city or county or any law enforcement agency. So these vehicles, these licensed storm trackers, can drive around roadblocks, go on roads that are closed due to severe weather, whereas civilian vehicles cannot. And then it says, upon instruction by any law enforcement officer, a professional severe weather tracker shall provide a copy of their license issued by the Oklahoma Insurance Department. So if an officer pulls them over, they have to be able to give them a copy of their license. It shall not relieve the professional severe weather tracker from the duty to drive with due regard for the safety of all persons. If they don't follow these provisions, they'll be subject to a fine, as it says here in Section 6, not to exceed $500. As well as the possible revocation of their license. So that is the crux of this bill. It is allowing these professional severe weather trackers to be able to obtain a license that allows them to have certain permissions that civilian vehicles do not in severe weather situations. They can act as an emergency vehicle. They can use lights and sirens. They can use high speed. They can go around stop signs. They can travel on roads that are closed by police, stuff like that. This has nothing to do with, we've read here, this has nothing to do with storm chasers who are out there for fun, or hobbyist storm chasers or tour companies. This does not have anything to do with them. This is only that you do not have to have a license in Oklahoma to storm chase. It only pertains to these media storm chasers, as well as these higher education institutions, research entities. That's it. So let's go back up here. Now that we know what the crux of this bill is, let's go back up and see and just quickly go through what they have to do with their license. So any professional severe weather tracker employed by a qualified media outlet shall cause a copy of their license issued by the Oklahoma Insurance Department to be kept on file with such outlet. Cause to be displayed in conformance with the rules of the department on both sides of every primary vehicle utilized by the professional severe weather tracker, their license number as issued by the department and the FCC license number of the qualified media outlet with whom the tracker maintains the employment or contractual relationship. So it has to be clearly visible on both sides of these media vehicles, their license number and the license number of their qualified media outlet that they work for. So it has to be very clear, unambiguous, that they are a licensed entity. They have to have been employed or contracted with a qualified media outlet no less than 5 years. They have to have worked for the TV station for at least 5 years. They have to pass a criminal background check and supply the department with a letter from the chief meteorologist stating that the belief of such meteorologist that the severe weather tracker possesses the knowledge, experience, and training to exercise the powers and duties of the license responsibly, and they have to provide insurance coverage for the vehicle to the department. So that is for the media outlets. Basically, it's the same as in Section B here for the qualified institution of higher education folks. They have to provide a copy of their license. It has to be kept on file with the dean, director, or other designated individual at the university. They also have to display on both sides of every primary vehicle utilized the license number, as well as an identifying number developed by the Department for Qualified Institutions of Higher Education. So just like the media outlets, they have to clearly define that they are licensed. They have to pass a criminal background check and supply a letter from the dean, director, or other designated individual stating that they are able to do their duties effectively, as well as the insurance coverage as well. Section C here goes over the fees for these licenses. These licenses shall not exceed $500 per year for the initial application and shall expire at the end of the calendar year and may be renewed for $250 for each subsequent year. And that money goes into a severe weather tracker licensure fund that is going to be newly made. The department shall issue a letter of reprimand, cancel, suspend, revoke, or refuse to issue or renew the license of an operator when it finds the licensee has not complied with the provisions of this bill. So they can take away the license at any time if there is some funky business going on, so to speak. And then Section 4 here just says that there is going to be a new severe weather tracker licensure fund where all of these funds are going to go into. And that's it. Really, that is the crux of this bill. So let's go over what we've learned so far. So what do we know from this bill? We know that this bill is targeting two separate groups. Number one, media storm chasers who work for local TV news stations. And number two, researchers who work at an institution of higher education. So essentially your University of Oklahoma, Oklahoma State University, etc. That's it. What it allows them to do is obtain a license which can give them extra permissions in times of severe weather. So that allows them to display audibly and visually red and blue lights, just like a police car or ambulance, as well as sirens. When they have those sirens and lights going, they can disobey some traffic laws. They can go through stop signs and red lights just like a police officer or ambulance would, safely, of course. And it allows them to basically drive around police roadblocks, whereas civilian vehicles cannot. What this bill does not do, it does not ban storm chasing in Oklahoma in any capacity. If you're a hobbyist storm chaser, if you're coming out for your chasecation, you can chase in Oklahoma with no questions asked, and nothing will change for you. You do not have to have a license to chase in Oklahoma. This is an optional license that is available for media storm chasers and researchers from higher education institutions. They can get to allow them to have some extra permissions. You do not have to have a license to chase in Oklahoma. So really, this is not going to affect storm chasing in Oklahoma hardly at all, I don't think. I don't think there's going to be a big impact at all. You can still chase when you want to chase, where you want to chase within the state of Oklahoma, but you cannot act as an emergency vehicle as those two entities that we discussed can. You will not be able to drive around roadblocks, etc., and do all that stuff that we mentioned in the bill. We can talk about the legality, the logic behind this bill, whether it's a good bill or not at a later time. What I wanted to do in this video was really highlight and clear up some of the confusion that has surrounded this bill since it came to the forefront here within the last week or so. And now that it's passing through the steps it needs to become a law, I thought it'd be good to kind of clear up some of that confusion and quell some of the anger and whatnot, and some of the other emotions that have been out there from the storm chasing community on this bill. This bill has passed through the first big hurdle. It has gone through the Oklahoma State Committee with a yes vote. Now it moves on to the Oklahoma Senate, and if it is passed through the Senate, it then goes to the governor's desk where he will be able to sign it into law. So this bill has not passed yet. It still has two more big steps to go through, but it has passed that first hurdle of going through the Oklahoma State Committee. We'll see what happens over the coming weeks, whether this bill is passed, but hopefully this gave you a little bit of clarity on what this bill entails. It does not impact hobbyists or storm chasers or tour companies or anybody of that nature. It only provides an optional license for media chasers and researchers from higher education institutions to purchase to allow them some extra permissions in severe weather scenarios. It does not affect you or I or any other hobbyist chaser in Oklahoma. You can chase as you were before in Oklahoma. It's just for those media chasers and researchers from universities. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, please leave them for me in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them, and hopefully this gave you some clarity on what this bill actually entails. So with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.